Welcome to another episode of the Halftime Podcast. What episode is this, Coach?
Episode 46.
Episode 46. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to everybody that's part of the Halftime Podcast community. Peace, blessings, and prosperity to all of you. Coach, how was your weekend?
My weekend and my week has been pretty solid. My first week teaching at Universal, so it's been exciting. It's been a humbling experience.
Humbling.
Because I'm used to, being mad that kids in basketball wouldn't listen to me, but it's just them not being able to do it versus there's kids that literally just don't listen to you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been humbling, but it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Coach?
My week's been kind of turbulent, but we've made it through.
Yep.
I'm not going to really go too much into it, but I'm just kind of happy I'm here. In the solid way that I am sitting right now, but we'll see how this show goes.
I'm happy you're here, Coach.
As we progress. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'll probably share with this on my own personal Instagram what happened and why I'm saying this, but right now we got a show to do. And people come for the best sports coverage on all digital platforms, and that is the Halftime Podcast. And you guys know how it goes. We start off with the halftime give and go, and you know the rules, and the rules must apply. First and foremost, top off the halftime give and go, we're going to start with Shedeur Sanders, the fourth-ranked quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, who was drafted in the 5th round, who just so happened to have not a spectacular game, but he definitely went out there and showed why people thought that he could be a first-round prospect. 14 out of 23, a solid percentage, but not the greatest. 2 touchdown throws. I guess we're going to see how the Cleveland Browns take this going forward. Right now, they're still having him 4th on the depth chart. They still want to see what Dylan Gabriel can do. But if he continues to play like this, he's going to create massive conversation in Cleveland, which we'll talk about later. Moving on to the next person in the halftime give and go, Rashawn Slater, the left tackle for the former San Diego Chargers, but now the Los Angeles Chargers. Rashawn just signed an extension with the Chargers, who deserved it. He had played really well last season, but it's sad to hear that he has suffered a season-ending injury. They have him on season-ending injured reserve. So I don't know if that means that he's just literally out or if they just have hope that somewhere down the line he might be able to return and so instead of just canceling him out for the season, they're just putting him on injured reserve. But prayers to Rashawn Slater. Hopefully everything gets back and he can contribute to the season for the Chargers. All right, Coach. The Bulls, their schedule is out. How are you looking at the new schedule? What do you think of it?
Yeah, honestly, not much to say about the schedule, but I thought the schedule release was pretty cool. It was like a little toy store kind of setting. They have the TNT halftime crew show with them as like teddy bears. They had like a funny like kind of throwback to like Stephen A playing solitaire during the games, and it was a teddy bear doing that. So it was cool. And it looks like, they made Kobe and Matas their like 1-2 punch. Like those were the only 2 guys, players that were on there. So
is that tipping off something, Coach?
Maybe.
We don't know. All right, moving on. Keenan Allen, he's back home with the Los Angeles Chargers. He is no longer with the Chicago Bears. Came and did a year bid and got up out of here. What do you think about Keenan Allen going back to the Chargers?
Yeah, I'm happy for Keenan, being able to finish out his career, I would presume, back in Los Angeles with the Chargers. He's the second leading receiver in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns in Chargers history. So it's nice to see him for a cheap contract, just $8.5 million for a year.
Look at us talking about $8.5 million, a cheap contract.
Yeah, the NFL, right?
I wish.
So yeah, I do wish, but no, seriously, great for him, and I think he's gonna help Justin Herbert a lot over there.
All right, moving on. Kyron Williams sticking in Los Angeles. The Rams, they signed their running back to a pretty solid contract. What do you think of this? Good move or bad move?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right move. We see like the value that the running backs have been having these past couple of seasons. It seems like that physical smash mouth football is really back. It's a 4-year, $48 million extension, so I wouldn't say an overpay at all. I think that's great value when you consider, what other running backs are making around the league. So he's got a really good amount of guaranteed money in there as well. So happy for Kyron. Go get your payday, man.
Absolutely. And last but not least, back on me, Zach Allen, the Broncos. They get their guy on the defensive line. They extend him. And I think this is a good move for Denver. Obviously, they need help on their defensive front. I'm not sure exactly if this is enough, but it's a good start. Hopefully, Zach Allen can have a high-profile, high-caliber Pro Bowl year for them, give them everything that they hope for in the contract that he signed. But we'll see. Time will tell whether or not he lives up to the new extension and contract that he got. And we'll see if the Broncos can build on the type of season that they had last year with their coach and their team. All right, Coach, that has been the Halftime Give and Go. I want to remind everybody to please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Halftime Pod. We see that you guys are in lockstep with all of our shorts. We get a lot of comments, get a lot of views with those things, but we want that to translate right over to the subscribe button and that notification bell, so that way you can be a part of the family and you can always be notified of everything we are doing at the halftime. All right, Coach, you ready to play our game?
Let's play our game.
Let's play our game. Who's cooking and who should stay the out the kitchen? Number one on who's cooking. Let's just give some love to some of the quarterbacks play during week one of the preseason. Some new quarterbacks in different places. Some quarterbacks who are just rookies. We've seen some good stuff from some of the quarterbacks who are joining new franchises and quarterbacks who are just coming in. Cam Ward had a solid showing. Not Jackson Dart, but oh, that is Jackson Dart, the one for New York. He played pretty well. Justin Fields had a good showing with the Jets. We already talked about Shedeur. So it's been pretty good, pretty solid all the way around. I believe all fan bases should be excited. Now, week 2 of the preseason, some of the quarterbacks that we didn't get to see in week 1, the Aaron Rodgers, the Caleb Williams, the other guys like that, we should be able to see a little bit more of the starters that we are presuming will be the starting quarterbacks for most teams. We'll see that in week 2. But based upon week 1, how did you like some of the quarterback play from, the perceived starters, guys who are rookies, guys who have went to a different team, and even some of the potential backups who are fighting for potential roles? What did you think of the quarterback play that you saw from week 1?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was some exciting stuff to see from them. Like, I think a name that hasn't been getting enough attention is Tyler Shuck. He was kind of a question mark.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah, but he was kind of a question mark when he was drafted because people thought New Orleans was finally going to take Shedeur at that pick.
And they did it.
They took Tyler Shuck, and, man, I'm not going to lie. He looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in his preseason outing. Of course, it's against second and third string guys, but, you can't knock the guy because at the end of the day, he's playing NFL football. Right?
And he's playing against the competition that's out there, bro.
Exactly, yeah. And it was nice to see, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart and all those guys, and, of course, Shedeur going out there and playing. Of course, some rookie moments for them as well, which is honestly always fun to see because you're expecting a rookie to look like a rookie, and it's refreshing and also, like, exciting because then it's like, okay, if they fix up a couple of these things, like this is the player they can become,
the possible potential.
You see a couple of those flashes, and we saw that really from every rookie quarterback or even quarterbacks going to, new franchises like Justin Fields, so like he had that touchdown run against Green Bay, like what's he going to be able to do in New York? It's exciting to see, so I'm excited. It was some great stuff seeing.
Yep. All right, let's talk about let's talk about a franchise that is actually doing something very positive and something that I think is kind of long overdue. The Lakers are honoring Pat Riley, and we'll talk about that more as we go, but they're going to give him a statue. I believe the game is slated for February 22nd against the Boston Celtics is when the statue is supposed to be unveiled. What do you think it is? Is this a long time coming? Do you think the Lakers are doing the right thing, or do you think there's something about Pat Riley that maybe we don't know? Maybe he's about to retire soon. Maybe he's about to step down from Miami in a little bit, and maybe people are just trying to make sure he gets the proper, flowers and everything before, he exit stage left from the NBA. What are your thoughts about the Lakers honoring Pat Riley?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely deserving, of course. We'll get into his resume and talk about that some more later. But for me, it was kind of just like weird timing. It kind of came out of nowhere.
It's random,
you
right?
know, so it does make you wonder, like, okay,
Yeah.
like, is this Pat Riley's, kind of last couple of years in the
Yeah.
NBA as
Yeah.
as an executive, as anybody, So it's weird. It's deserving,
Yes.
but I did not expect it to come at this moment. So
Yeah, this wasn't the Lakers news that I thought I was gonna
no,
get.
you would think it was going to be another trade rumor.
Yeah, like
because,
they add in a dynamic wing player or something from somewhere.
because Lakers fans like to think they're getting everybody, from the NBA. So, honestly, that's great for the Lakers, great for Pat Riley, but really, really weird, and unexpected time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our favorite part of the game is who should stay their ass out the kitchen. And number one on this list, I'm trying to hold off from being like, just get out the house, leave the kitchen area alone. But I'm going to say that he can stand by the door. He can't stand by the island. He can't stand by the stove, obviously, and he don't need any kitchen utensils in his hand. But he can stand by the door, and that's the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson. I cannot understand. Well, let me say this. I feel bad for the kid, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I really do feel bad for him. I don't think he was put in a position to succeed being drafted by the Colts. There was obviously conversation from the beginning of whether or not he should have been the quarterback drafted by the Colts. Why was he even drafted in the first place? There were some conversations about that. It didn't feel like the entire Colts franchise was behind him, and we can agree to that by the fact that they went out and got Daniel Jones this offseason, as some believed it was a safety net, but I believed it was because they're pivoting, and they're going to pivot hard to Daniel Jones. He'll be starting week 2 because Anthony Richardson got hurt. This kid, unfortunately, needs to walk around with a fragile tape across his body because it seems as if he cannot take a hit. Some way, somehow, if he ends up on the ground, he's like a piece of glass. He just breaks. And it's sad to see that because what you don't want to see for a lot of athletes is injuries taking them away from the game and ultimately keeping them from being able to materialize and actualize the type of potential that many thought they could have. And with Anthony Richardson, it just seems like for every 2 steps that he takes forward, 5 steps back is every single time that happens for him. And so the reason why I'm keeping him at the door is because I can't definitively say that he's a terrible quarterback. I can't definitively say that he has no place in the NFL. But if he can't stay healthy, then you pretty much just have to look at him as damaged goods and say, regardless of what you think, we'll never be able to see what he can do if he can never play more than 5 minutes of a football game. So what are your thoughts about Anthony Richardson and what that experience was in week 1 of the preseason for the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's something anybody was really expecting. I thought people were really expecting and thinking that this year was going to be...
They were rooting for him.
It was going to be his year to finally take off. And, here he is hurt again. And it really does make you question maybe not his work ethic, but maybe his, commitment to the game. Because we saw last year, early on in the year, or, halfway through, he had to sit out because he got too tired on the football field. You don't see that in professional sports, you know what I mean? Where, especially in the NFL, a starting quarterback asking to sit out because he's not in shape.
He's just too fatigued.
Yeah, the guy was just simply not in shape, and now he's looking Yeah, he walked into this training camp looking bulky, looking big,
Yeah.
like in the gym type of
Looking
thing.
strong, he looked good.
Yeah, and Colts fans were psyched after
Yeah.
seeing, one like picture of his body. But now it's he's hurt again. So
They had it on their wall, coach. Anthony Richardson.
yeah, probably. But no, it sucks because, he was another guy when he first came into the league, and in his second year, it was like when we saw his flashes, it was really just exciting. Just like we're seeing out of the rest of these rookie quarterbacks, it's like, dang, like if he could do this on a consistent level, this guy's going to be scary. We thought the same thing with Anthony Richardson being a dual threat quarterback, but it hasn't materialized like you said. And until then, maybe it needs to be a change of scenery to a quarterback friendly type of organization, like just putting a name out there like the Minnesota Vikings, which I don't think will happen, but who knows at this point, So I think that's honestly the only thing that could help Anthony Richardson potentially materialize into what we think he could have been.
Now I will say, just really quickly, just to sum it up, it is a thumb injury. At first I thought he had like a broken, like a forearm, like a broken forearm, or like fibula tear or fibula break or something like that. It is supposed to be just a thumb, so I don't know exactly how long that's going to keep him out. Obviously, you need your thumb to throw the football. I think it's on his throwing hand and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's not like I'm not trying to downplay the injury. Obviously, it's a necessity for him to be the quarterback. But what I am saying, though, is this isn't something that technically should keep him from being able to get better and get healthy. But I will say he could have lost his job in week 1 already of the preseason.
Definitely,
because if Daniel Jones in week 2 of the preseason shows that, Anthony Richardson or not, we're no better, we're not worse or significantly better with Daniel Jones, so it doesn't make a difference if Anthony Richardson is hurt or not. If that turns out to be that type of situation where Daniel Jones just kind of keeps the boat moving, then I don't see Anthony Richardson getting a chance. Now, unless the organization themselves just want to put a nail in the coffin on the whole Anthony Richardson experience before they completely move on, then I guess, they'll do their due diligence when he's healthy to put him back in there and see what he can do. But if that's not the case, then I kind of see his time in Indianapolis being done in week 1 of the preseason after this injury.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the Colts navigate through this.
Yeah. All right, moving on to somebody else who should stay out the kitchen. I don't know what it is about owners, but they sure know how to put their foot in their mouths and surely know how to piss off their fan bases and people around them. But Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, this guy just wanted to tell the world that Shedeur Sanders wasn't his pick. He had nothing to do with that, and that's all on GM Andrew Berry. And my whole thing with that is more so like, what's the purpose of that? Like, honestly, what do you gain from telling your fan base that this one particular draft and this one particular player you had nothing to do with? So the thing about that is, if he goes out there and play well, then what do you say?
Right.
Do you double back and come back and be like, well, I know I said I had nothing to do with it, but there were some conversations that we briefly had. It was just more so that I gave the final call to Andrew to be the guy to make that decision. But if he plays terrible, then you want to be able to say Andrew Berry made a mistake. It was a waste of a draft pick. We should have went this direction and blah, blah. Like, I don't understand the whole let's cover my ass treatment behind those statements when it comes down to Shedeur, especially after what we saw, first of all, what we saw in this week 1, but then also prior to that, the things that we were hearing about him in training camp. We haven't heard anything negative about his play in training camp. The worst things we heard was that, there was times where he wasn't throwing because he had some shoulder soreness or something like that. There was never a time where we were reading reports that said like Shedeur Sanders looked like complete trash, that he looked like complete garbage, that he was completely out of his league, out of his depth, that he had a lot of room to grow or anything like that. We weren't getting any reports like that. So I don't understand where the hell are these comments coming from? Like, what's the point of saying half of the shit that he said? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it goes to one of the points you were saying. I do just think it's a cover my ass type of situation where it's like, okay, well, if he succeeds, then it's like, awesome, cool. Like, I came out and also said, I fully trust my GM, so that's also on me. But
Yeah.
then, if he, like you said, if he's bad, then it's like, oh well, it was his call, and honestly, like that call might have gotten him fired, type of thing. So, I do personally just think it's a save face situation, and it's weird. It's I don't know. You don't see owners coming out and saying that, especially
No.
like I didn't even know who this guy was before. Like I didn't know the owner of the Browns' name before we even were prepping for this show. Like I saw it on the show prep, and I'm like, I gotta look this up. Like who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Yeah.
It was just his first and last name. I couldn't tell you. So
Because that's like you said before, it's this Cleveland Browns. Like, who gives a fuck about the Cleveland Browns? Like, we've said that before, but I don't know. We're gonna talk about it a little bit more. But that's been our game. Who's cooking, and who should stay the fuck out the kitchen? We want to remind everybody to follow me and Coach on our individual Instagram accounts. Coach, he's teaching now at Universal, the same school that we both coach at, varsity basketball. So big ups to Coach for doing that, for taking that on that role. That's a big role, big step in his development and what he's trying to do in his professional career, as well as being a coach. As well, he has his AAU club. He also is skills training as well as I. So if you want to talk to us about developing your players, developing your children as athletes, you can always reach out to Coach or me. You can reach out to Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and you can reach out to me at Coach M_got it. We also welcome you guys to just reach out to us to talk about anything that you've seen on the pod. We love communicating with our fan base. We love communicating with anybody out there that's interested to talk to us about our subjects or topics. And if you have any artwork or anything like that you want to provide to the show that we can put on our lovely backdrop here, we will also love and appreciate that, and would love to give you guys a shout out. So again, follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and you can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it. All right, Coach, you ready to move into it?
You know I am. Come on.
All right, let's move into it. It's time for the halftime report. Oh, man. The music gets you going. The music makes you going. Yeah, it gets you going. All right, let's get right into it, Coach. First on top, we kind of, led into this with the get out the kitchen portion. We're talking about the owner of the Cleveland Browns with Jimmy Haslam. But I want to harp on the GM for the Cleveland Browns, who is Andrew Berry, who is credited now for taking Shedeur Sanders, whether good, bad, or indifferent. If you're him, and I want to look at this from his perspective, if you are the GM, Andrew Berry, and you're watching your owner basically go out there and kind of throw you to the wolves when it comes down to the Shedeur Sanders experience, are you happy about this? Are you upset about this? Or is it simply just like par for the course for the role you play in this franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure internally he has some objections to the statement. It's honestly became just, okay, I'm putting all of my eggs into your basket, not into my own. And and all the blame's going to be pointed at you at the end of the day. So, like, if I'm the GM, yeah, I would feel a certain type of way. But at the same time, it's also like, you could also be like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, the owner fully trusted me into making this decision. So it really is both sides. You really do get both sides when talking about this specific topic. And I don't know. It'd be an interesting situation. Like, if I were to put myself in his shoes, how I would navigate that. I would probably take a little bit of offense to it, but at the same time, it's also like, you're getting some praise, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't believe it. I think it really just is the owner saving face. I don't know. Like what do you think about that?
I would be fucking pissed, to be honest with you, because even if everything goes right, let's say Shedeur comes out here, he balls, and he does, everything that people believe he can do. you set me up to be the fall guy. You set me up to look like a complete failure. You set me up to look like a complete idiot if things don't go right. As if there wasn't six other rounds in which I drafted players in. Right? So what about the rest of the guys that I drafted?
Yeah.
Right? What about them? What if all the other players that I drafted pan out? Hell, what if this kid Dylan Gabriel turns into a complete stud?
Then what?
Then what? Then you're just gonna surround my entire draft with one guy that I drafted in the 5th fucking round? Really? That's what we're gonna do about what I just did for this franchise?
Yes.
That's how you're gonna play this. So if everybody else does well and this one guy doesn't, I'm gonna be my work is gonna be overshadowed because of one guy from a 5th round not panning out. Who the fuck does that? What GM gets fired because a 5th round pick doesn't pan out? What GM gets lambasted or criticized if a 6th round, 5th round pick doesn't pan out?
Hey, it would only happen in one franchise organization of all sports, the Cleveland Browns. You know?
Yeah, the fucking most terrible franchise in almost of NFL history,
like
arguably.
There's a reason why they are. You know, like there's a reason to it, and this is just one example out of many.
Like, even if I get it as the owner, what happened to you being the captain of the ship? You're the owner. Nobody can fire you. So who gives a shit if it's like Jerry Reinsdorf, right? Some owners would take the Jerry Reinsdorf approach when it comes down to things only in this capacity. I don't need to say shit because I'm not going nowhere.
Right.
Y'all can scream all the noise you want. I own this. Who cares about your opinion of me? I own it. I'm not selling it. I'm not going anywhere. So if things don't work out, fuck it, we got next year. I'm writing the checks anyway. So from my perspective, if you're the owner, why does it matter if this kid doesn't work out? Why do you need to go to the fan base to say anything about a player? I've never seen him say, we drafted this guy in the 1st round. We drafted that guy in the 1st round. We drafted this quarterback in the 1st round. Where's your statement on Deshaun Watson not working out?
He did. He got
because somebody asked him.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody had the balls to be like, okay, well, shit, since it's open season and we want to exclude ourselves from mistakes around this bitch, what about Deshaun Watson? Well, I mean, we believed him at the time. Yeah. We believed in him at the time, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, yeah, you haven't had any track record of coming out and examining any other picks, 1st round picks, and coming out and telling your fan base like, sorry for wasting the 1st round pick on this guy, sorry for wasting the 1st round pick on that guy, sorry for wasting guaranteed money on this quarterback, and then having to go get this quarterback, and then not only having to go get Joe Flacco, but we're also going to trade for another quarterback that never worked out in any place he was at in Kenny Pickett, and then we're going to draft a guy that nobody even knows in the 3rd round in Dylan Gabriel, and then we're going to draft another quarterback. And by the way, we still have another quarterback that we brought in. But we're going to talk about one 5th round pick that you've had in all of the years of you being the Browns owner. We're going to raise hell about one guy. That makes no sense to me. And if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm looking at that going like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You have to be. Because essentially what you're trying to tell me is that whatever your feelings are about Shedeur, that's your feelings about me.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's as simple as that, yeah.
Whatever your feelings are about Shedeur as the owner, that's your feelings about me. So I go as he go. If he fail, I'm fired. And is that because is the owner trying to passively or maybe not even passively, but in a cryptic way say, I never wanted this kid? I never wanted him. I never wanted Shedeur on the Cleveland Browns, then just say that. I would rather you come out and just say that and be a man and say that. But maybe we don't want to do that because then it brings up the speculation of, was he railroaded in the draft? Was he being kept from being able to be drafted in the first round? Was there conversations behind closed doors to humble this kid? Right, it reopens that can of worms.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I think it's some bullshit. You know what I mean? If I'm Andrew Berry, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, what a hell of a guy. I work for a great man. Couldn't work for anybody better. He couldn't just say, we're going to see how Shedeur is doing, and if it works out, it works out. We've drafted guys before in many rounds. Some worked out and some didn't. Simple as that. That's all you got to say. We've drafted guys in the first round that we don't have on payroll no more. And we've drafted guys in the 6th round that are arguably looking for max extensions. That's the way the NFL works. You got guys who are in the Hall of Fame who weren't undrafted. Who went undrafted, sorry. Got Shannon Sharp, 6th round pick, 7th round pick or something like that, Hall of Fame. And he's not the best example right now to pull, but he's the one I pull right off the top of my head. But you got guys who went undrafted, won Super Bowls. Who's quarterback for the Rams?
Matthew Stafford?
No, not him. But when they were the best show on turf, who's their quarterback then? With Marshall Faulk.
You got it.
Nope, I don't got it. Kurt Warner, undrafted. CFL. Didn't he come from the CFL?
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? All the way around the board, you get these stories. You have all these different things happening. Why make a spectacle? And I don't know if it's because Shedeur is the thing that keeps the money coming. Shedeur works to help fill headlines. Shedeur helps bring media attention to and maybe he's feeding into that. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he sees the money train behind mentioning Shedeur, so maybe he wants to add a little bit more fuel to it.
I wouldn't be surprised because I feel like other media markets are doing the same thing with other quarterbacks. Just gonna put this out there right now. Like Colin Cowherd riding Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
In every single training camp clip he's seen is absurd. The guy moved to Chicago just so he could speak badly about the Bears even more.
Is that where Colin moved to?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's why even move here if you're just gonna speak so poorly about the franchise now? What, you don't like the city of Chicago, so now you're just gonna say bad things about the franchise?
No, I think he likes the city of Chicago. I just think his relationship with Caleb Williams got ruined because of the story that he put out last season about how Caleb Caleb wanted to get paid through LFC and how technically he was the whistleblower on all of that stuff, that Caleb wanted to get paid differently and that he didn't really want to come to Chicago.
We just know he likes to blow it out of proportion.
Yeah, he does.
He does it for the clicks. It's it's become a meme on NFL X now. Colin Cowherd's ratings are down, so here comes another Caleb Williams episode. That's just how it works. I'm saying
it is what it is. You follow the ratings, and it looks like that's what Jimmy Haslam is doing for the Cleveland Browns. But to you, Andrew Berry, more power to you for following your gut and believing in this kid. Hopefully everything works out because it seems like you are going to be attached to this guy for the duration of your career. As Shedeur goes, your profile will raise. And if Shedeur doesn't do well, it could bode for a situation where you are no longer in the NFL and your time as a GM is cut short with the Cleveland Browns. All right, Coach, let's move on to the next topic in the halftime report, and that is circling back to how the Lakers are going to honor the great coach Pat Riley. And obviously this is something that, I wanted to talk about because we're coaches and we love to, give our flowers to coaches and celebrate them. And I just want to say with Pat Riley, as far as when it came down to his tenure with the Lakers, obviously, if you understand the story of how Pat Riley, rose, he started off obviously in the film room, working his way up, just being a grunt guy for the coaching staff, and it just kept slowly moving up the chain, becoming a lead assistant to eventually being somebody that was given the nod through circumstances that kind of wasn't, the best. Some of it was guys getting fired. Some of it was guys getting hurt, coaches getting hurt and couldn't stick around because of certain things. And so he was able to get his shot based upon just things out of his control. And with that being said, he managed to help lead the Lakers to multiple championships with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I think he was there a little bit of time when James Worthy first got there, if I'm not wrong, but I don't know if he was there for too long. But he was able to, I guess, in my sense, develop the first version of what you would consider to be like a player's coach type of personality.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Because the way that things worked with Magic and the original coach that they had, I think was it Paul Westphal was the coach.
I forget.
You know, forgive me if I'm wrong out there, fans, but you know that was way before my time. Even though Coach loves to call me Unc, I'm not that goddamn old.
He's lying.
So,
He's lying.
So I don't know who's the head coach, but I do know that Magic Johnson and his original coach did not see eye to eye, and that eventually got that coach fired, and that's how you sort of got the domino effect leading into Pat Riley, and then, you know, the history was made from that point on. But Pat Riley developed a culture and developed a team in Los Angeles that was showtime, up-tempo, fast-paced, with Magic Johnson being the head of the snake, getting guys up and down the floor. Obviously, he had a very hard-nosed, aggressive style on defense, wanted guys to get up, put pressure, and different things like that. But I believe in my mind that he was the first guy to kind of develop that idea and concept of being a player's coach, somebody that would listen to the players, understand what they were looking for, try to cater the offense to the skill sets, the strengths of the players, rather than just being stuck to doing things your way, right? And I think that is part of his legacy, as well as moving on to the Miami Heat and helping them become a franchise that is credible, with 3 championships underneath that franchise's belt, being able to draft Dwayne Wade, secure LeBron James coming over there. Now, obviously, he was also part of why LeBron James left. He's part of the reason why we call things the Heat way, the Heat culture, which is essentially the Pat Riley way. He's also somebody that is willing to see talent and respect guys' work ethic, and what he saw with Eric Spoelstra, somebody that he saw himself in, starting from the bottom, working in the film room, working his way all the way up to the top, and giving him a chance. And look at Eric Spoelstra, been a phenomenal coach for all of his time in Miami, and is what, arguably the longest tenured coach in the NBA. Technically, now that Greg Popovich is no longer coaching, I think that goes to Eric Spoelstra now for being the longest tenured coach, and I think second to that will be Steve Kerr. Probably, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Pat Riley has a history of bringing greatness to places that he's been. Obviously, you know, he has his quirks about him. It's his way or the highway when it comes down to a lot of things. And obviously, when it comes down to negotiations, we know how things go with Pat Riley and negotiate. So you got your good and your bad with Pat. But what do you think of the Lakers honoring him and the legacy of Pat Riley? How do you see that? And what do you think of Pat Riley getting a statue with the Lakers? Do you think Miami does the same with him? I don't know if they do that. He's been an executive with them. I think he won the first one as a head coach with them. I think
so, yeah.
I think he was the head coach when they won their first one with D Wade and Shaq and stuff like that. But nevertheless, what do you think of Pat Riley getting the statue, and what do you think of his legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only fitting for him to get one in LA. You know, like him winning a championship as a player too.
Yeah.
You know, alongside with winning all those championships as a coach.
He won a championship
in
LA
in 72 as a player. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
he's like Phil Jackson. Huh?
Yeah.
But Phil won with the Knicks.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's crazy. Yeah. He led. Of course, he led that team through the whole Showtime era and all that stuff. And it was. You look back on it now, and it really was game-changing stuff. Like, right? Like, this is the stuff we kind of talk about, like, with Mike. You know, like, people now, like, try to talk down on it when he did a behind-the-back dribble, when everyone was like, oh, my God, like, we've never seen this before. But, like, it's game-changing stuff, and that's something that Pat Riley brought to the table in his way of coaching with everything you just listed off. You know what I mean? Like, it really was just truly generational at that time. Like you wouldn't have expected that or seen that from any other coach in that time era. So no, definitely deserving of it in LA, like of the statue and everything. You know, I could only imagine how much he actually means to the organization itself. Does he get one in Miami? Maybe. I don't know. Possibly.
I don't know. Maybe
he might get like one of those like banners maybe in the arena or something. Or
maybe
they
put a statue in the building like of him pointing
Possibly.
to a sign that
Yeah.
say like work hard or something like
Yeah,
they'll
possibly.
do something like tongue in cheek like that or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe something like that. But he's also been a huge influence over there. But more in the executive role for sure. But yeah, just honestly one of the NBA's all-time greats when it comes to just coaching and executives. So, I'm really happy for him. I wonder now, like we didn't really get into this, but I wonder with this timing,
Is he retiring?
do you think is he gonna retire soon?
I believe that. I think because honestly, the reason why I think this is happening because if we put on our little tinfoil conspiracy hats.
Oh, your favorite one. Coach.
Yeah. Prior to this announcement being made, we were hearing a lot of chatter in the offseason where guys were saying that Pat Riley needs to step aside, that Pat Riley needs to step down, and Pat Riley needs to get out of the executive space with Miami because he's a part of the reason why guys don't want to come to Miami. We know that LeBron left because Pat Riley took his cookies and all type of stuff like that where it seems like Pat Riley is so hard. The way he decides to go about his culture, the way he demands players is not necessarily something that today's players are really excited about. They don't really want to be a part of that type of monitoring and that type of demand and that type of perfectionism that Pat Riley, asks for. They want to kind of be able to have carte blanche, do what they want, and freelance. You know what I'm saying? And it's like crazy to hear that because you're just like, wow, here is the culture of NBA divas that is really real. Like these guys don't want anybody being hard on them. Like they're not grown men, with the responsibility of getting paid millions of dollars to be in top shape and put on good performances and while entertaining and play good basketball. Like, Lord forbid, this is what you signed up as a profession that somebody is telling you be good at it. You know what I mean?
Money does a lot to a person.
Money, I guess so, Coach. I mean, honestly, I want to believe in myself and say, like, if I became a multimillionaire tomorrow, that I wouldn't change my habits. I wouldn't change what my mother and father raised me to be. I
wouldn't still come on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, why would I stop? Yeah, why would I stop the pod?
Because then you could just go make your own and hire like everybody from ESPN. Like, what are we talking about?
I would just hire you guys.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
What kind of like? Why would I? Yeah, come on, man. I'm not like that, bro. Again, that's not how my mother and father raised me.
There you go.
So that's my point. Like, I would like to believe that, but I'm not a multimillionaire. So I can't tell you. I can't tell you for sure.
By the will of God, maybe one day.
Yeah, by
right?
the will of God, maybe one day. But I can't tell you for sure that would happen. But sticking on like what it looks like, it's like if that's the case in the off season, there's so many people that was talking and asking for Pat Riley to step down. This could be a sign that there could be rumors percolating through the NBA circles and community that Pat Riley is thinking about making this his last season, or even we might hear before the season starts that Pat Riley is deciding to resign and that they may be thinking about bringing somebody over, or that after this year, Eric Spoelstra will be succeeding Pat Riley in that executive role and they'll be looking for a new head coach next season or somebody that they want to bring up, maybe to lead us. I don't know exactly how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But what I'm assuming is from the conversation in the offseason regarding Pat Riley and about how he was part of the reason why you got some players who don't want to go to Miami and how Miami is an attractive location until you start talking about Pat Riley and the Heat culture and the Heat way and all this other stuff. Like,
maybe losing out on that KD trade was like the last kind of put your foot down. Okay, like maybe it's time to move on.
I'm not going to say yes. What I will say is it takes more than Pat Riley to get that deal done.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, even if he makes that deal, I still think people are saying yet again, okay, he got the KD deal done, but can he still get other guys to come in free agency? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like Minnesota will never get guys in free agency, so they have to always make a trade. Miami is not supposed to be the place that has to do business like Minnesota, where they can only get superstars if they give up 6 first-round picks and do historic dumbass shit like they did for Rudy Gobert.
I was about to say, get Rudy
You know
Gobert.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, Miami is not supposed to be the organization that has to do things like that because they are South Beach, Florida. It is Miami.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be attractive enough, like in LA, like a New York, like like Chicago is supposed to be.
We should be saying that. But
Like a Golden State. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Miami. They're supposed to be attractive enough as like sort of like your East Coast version of like California. They're supposed to be attractive enough to get guys to want to come there, but what always seems to be the reason why, or the hush-hush reason why guys don't want to go there is because of, quote-unquote, Pat Riley and his demands and what he expects of people, and also the fact that LeBron James left because his relationship with Pat Riley was tumultuous because he couldn't have his way, and it's like, well, if LeBron can't get what he want in Miami, I know I can't have me and the homies doing this. So it's like, ultimately, I'm under the conspiracy theory of believing that we are going to hear some news come this season that Pat Riley will be stepping aside, whether that happens before the season, whether that happens after the season. Hopefully, I don't think Pat Riley is the type of guy that leaves in the middle of the season, but if he were to leave in the middle of the season, the only guy that I would see succeeding him in term as an executive would be like somebody like Alonzo Mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, outside of Alonzo Mourning, because he's been there, could you see a Dwayne Wade coming back to revamp the Miami Heat and his image as an executive? Could you see that happening? I don't know. We're speculating at that point.
Right, yeah, it really is just speculating.
But I do believe that with the timing of this random Lakers news to give Pat Riley a statue, because nothing was leading up to this.
Right, like nothing happened before this.
Nothing happened before this. Nothing led up to this. It wasn't like he was at no Lakers games and they were just show Pat Riley some love and all that. You know, we weren't seeing any of that ever. So with that being said, it just kind of makes it seem like there's a conversation and chatter behind closed doors that Pat Riley could be exiting and making his way out of the NBA. But if it is true, then he deserves his statue, to sum it all up. I know that was a lot going on there to pretty much say what we said at the beginning, but I did want to kind of, I'm glad that you asked that because I do kind of feel like this is just kind of random out of the blue that the Lakers are just, boop, we're going to give Pat Riley a statue February 22nd against the Boston Celtics. All right, more Luka news. Like that was kind of crazy.
Back to LeBron's offseason workout.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so shout outs to Pat Riley. Great coach. Thank you for everything that you obviously brought to the game with the Showtime Lakers. And if you're still sticking around, we hope to see that the Miami Heat does something great. But if not, and this turns out to be the summation of your career coming to an end, everything is well deserved. And I hope you get all the flowers and more, even from Miami and outside of the Lakers and whoever else wants to, show him some love.
Yep.
All right, Coach, let's move into this last part of the halftime report. Let's talk about the UFC and their $7 billion deal that they have struck with CBS and Paramount Plus. This is supposed to be an opportunity for us as UFC fans to not have to always get UFC fights on pay-per-view. Some of their big marquee fights that they promote. This is supposed to keep us from having to pay for it on pay-per-view version, but or pirate it like some people do. But we
shout out.
But we do not subscribe to that because we like, honest paying patrons. But with that being
Not me.
But with that being said, I guess this sets up a deal for individuals who are big UFC fans to subscribe to the Paramount Plus app and or subscribe to some version of live television and cable that provides the CBS network so that you can get access to UFC marquee fights when they have big cards and stuff like that. Now, there is a fight that's happening this weekend in Chicago. I'm assuming that is not part of the CBS Paramount Plus deal.
No.
And that is something that people will still have to pay for on pay-per-view. But I'm assuming that after this, their next big fight card will be something that you can get on Paramount Plus or see on CBS. Or is this going to be a situation where UFC is going to be like wrestling in WWF and WWE, where you get a bunch of exhibition UFC fights to kind of lead up to marquee events where guys are fighting for belts, and then when you have those marquee fight cards like this one this weekend, that's still going to be something that you have to pay separately to stream on Paramount Plus, or you're going to have to pay separately to get pay-per-view, which will be broadcasted through CBS. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that it's probably going to be something of the latter, that they're just going to give you a lot of UFC exhibition and fights that can kind of lead up to marquee moments, marquee fight nights, that you'll be able to get free on Paramount Plus and CBS. But when they actually have the UFC 319, UFC 320, whatever the case may be, those things will still be something that you will have to pay for, absent of having the Paramount Plus app or having access to CBS as a channel. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong, because as a fan, I don't want to hear news like this thinking that, okay, if I get Paramount Plus, I have access to all things UFC.
You get to watch everything now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or if I have whatever broadcasting, YouTube TV, Xfinity cable, ATT, Uverse cable, whatever it is I got, and I got CBS, I don't want to be like, okay, okay, now I got access to all things UFC, cool, right? I don't want that to turn around and not be the case if I'm a fan. I don't know. They haven't given full clarity on this. They've just only announced this partnership. So I guess time will tell. But what do you think of the deal? And then, two, as a fan, which one of those things do you think it will be? Do you think you will have all access to things UFC? Or do you think there's still going to be some extra money that you're going to have to pay out for the fights that you really, really want to see?
I'm going to answer the first question first, because my second answer to the second question is a little bit longer. But
okay,
for the first question,
the deal, what do you think of it?
The deal, yeah, I mean, I think it's great for Paramount and CBS. It's $7.7 billion over 7 years, which is worth more than what Paramount's even worth. So that's kind of it's really a bet. It's a bet on themselves, and it's a bet on the UFC. To see that they're going to be worth more than that. It's going to pay itself back with all these, subscriptions and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great deal. I know for all of us UFC fans that have tried to catch fight nights and stuff like that, or even buying pay-per-views on ESPN Plus, it's been a struggle. It's not a fun interface to use. ESPN Plus is really just non-responsive. You would think in 2025 that you wouldn't have this glitchy of a platform from this such of a mainstream sports company service. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you're paying money monthly to subscribe to this thing, and it barely works. Everybody, if you've ever used ESPN Plus, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
It barely works, and when you really want it to work, it stops working even more. So Paramount Plus has been, I use it myself occasionally. It's a good app. It works when you want it to. I've really had no complaints with it. So that's a nice pivot. Now, the second question is where some juice really starts to come in. Specifically in your second part of your answer, because I didn't even consider that when first seeing this deal, because in my view, I thought it was going to be one of two things. Either, okay, the UFC is just they're going to do it, and they're going to up the subscription price on Paramount Plus, and there you go. You got access to all the fights, even the main events, right? Like 319, 320, all that good stuff. Or they're going to find a way to try to squeeze in pay-per-views here and there.
Right.
Which I think leads into your one of your options that you were saying, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the option they're going with. I think it would get a lot of backlash from UFC supporters, because everybody got so excited when this deal was announced, because they're like, okay, you're telling me I don't have to pay this much money anymore to buy a pay-per-view. I could just pay for the monthly subscription, and now I'm going to get all these UFC fights. Everybody's ecstatic. But I could really see like a very realistic outcome of this just being that the UFC fight nights, the exhibitions, they're called fight nights, just end up being on Paramount Plus, and then they're gonna have an option where you could buy the pay-per-view on Paramount Plus for the main ones. I wouldn't be surprised if it's that, because we know the money that UFC generates from its pay-per-view. I also think if they were to just go with the monthly option and with no pay-per-view, UFC fighters would be absolutely distraught, because you look at guys that have fought in the UFC before, specifically one guy, Conor McGregor. All of his money he's come from now is because of the amount of pay-per-view points he's brought in while he was a UFC fighter. That's what got him his fame. That's what got him all this money from the UFC and all these endorsements. Same goes with guys like John Jones and all those guys. So now you're looking at a champion who's fighting this weekend, like Dricus, right, Duplessis, and like if it really is just going to be a monthly subscription, I'd be fuming. Like, what do you mean I don't get any more pay-per-view points? Like, where's my money coming from this? Like,
so let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a $7.7 billion deal, what I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, is the $7.7 billion from a business model will cover salary for UFC, I guess, staffing, whatever that looks like, their corporate, their headquarters, trainers, whatever they got going on. They don't have to pay now for the platforming and the streaming, because Paramount Plus will be taking on that task, making sure the cameras are there, making sure all of the video and audio and all the other stuff is there. So that should be something that's taken out of UFC's budget, that they don't have to worry about being the one to actually put on the actual broadcast outside of paying for the people that's talking and stuff like that. I'm assuming that out of this budget, they'll still have to pay for the venues that they're obviously going to have the fights at. They'll still have to do that, or maybe they have to strike deals with the venue to say, hey, give us the venue for free and you can just make money off ticket sales, because we no longer need to do pay-per-view. Right? You can make the ticket sales money from the event, like throwing on a concert, right?
Sure.
It's like throwing on a concert. You want the money from UFC because you know if you host us, you can make the ticket prices this and people are going to come. So just give us the venue for blah, 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 or for free, and you get all the ticket money, because we're already striking this deal with Paramount.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to cut you off, but like, people are paying like over $800
That's what I'm saying. It's like boxing.
It's
like when boxing was at the height of its height, and people were paying thousands, tens of thousands to sit front row, hundreds. You know, it's just like that. So I'm assuming, and this is what I'm going to say, and I could be completely wrong, with some of the things that have been taken out when it comes down to production costs of putting on UFC fights, maybe some of this $7.7 billion can be billed into salary for the fighters.
Yeah, which has been a topic of discussion for Lord knows how long.
Maybe now some of these fighters can be billed in as salary as actual employees of the UFC, rather than being contracted fighters of the UFC. Now that gets interesting, because it gets to a WWE model, which is cool because that's entertainment, and we finally accepted that, because when I was a kid, you thought it was real. When it first started off, people were really getting hurt and really getting injured, and it was a really serious thing. When somebody, at the beginning stages of wrestling, when people really got hurt, bloodied and stuff, like, guys were really hitting each other with bats and scraping each other and stuff. Like, it was a real experience. It was still supposed to be entertainment, but guys are really getting hurt. Now we understand that guys are like coming in with pre-cut, like, you know, things and just kind of making things go and putting on a spectacle. Is more of a show. Guys still get hurt because, you know, injuries can happen. It's still a contact sport, but a lot of it is more staged than it really is guys out there doing anything. What I'm trying to say, though, and you might understand what I'm saying, I'm hoping that by having salary, by having the 7.7 to be salary for these fighters, that the UFC doesn't become a entertainment business centered around what we now have as American gambling. The fact that you can gamble on everything now. And I'm kind of looking at that from that aspect of like, oh, we striking this deal now because we can start to have what you can consider to be controlled chaos around here. We can really put some control on storylines. We can really build fighting characters and create certain things. Because before, it was just about get as many good guys in here that can fight, make them, they got to sell it like boxing and hate each other and whatever the case may be to try to get people to watch.
Which is crazy because they've already, that's already kind of been the direction that they're going in, for one.
Like building storylines and stuff like that.
For two, I'm glad you brought up the WWE thing because maybe not a lot of people remember or know the UFC and WWE merged into a company called TKO. So they're partners. They work
they
together.
do. I remember
so
that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm glad you brought that up without even knowing that because it shows
it just shows parallels.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if that's ultimately the direction the UFC starts to go in. I don't know if I'd be a fan of that per se. I kind of like the UFC where it is right now. With all these fighters having their own, backstories and all this stuff and it being genuine.
Yeah.
But again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's what you're saying.
Because honestly, if you're trying to create a balance of pay, right, and you're trying to distribute wealth amongst guys in somewhat of an equitable fashion, you have to create salary.
Yeah. No,
honestly, because if not, Conor McGregor is always going to make all the money. John Jones is always going to make all the money. Rampage Jackson is always going to, you just go down the list of the guys who are the fan favorites. They're the ones that's always going to be the ones that people want to see and get all the money, and they're bringing all the pay-per-view points to everything. But if you can get guys' salary, then you can start to control a little bit of the narratives. They create some form of equity across the board because you can create a base of saying any UFC fighter, no matter what, makes this. But depending on how many wins you start to get, depending on the fan response to you and how many people want to see you, and based upon our algorithms and data from the comments and the relationship that you have with the fans and the fans believing in you and wanting to see you, and then we can start talking about how much you have leverage worth in the company to get a raise. Right? Now, simultaneously, what that does, though, is it takes away the opportunity for independent agency that other guys like a Conor McGregor and John Jones were able to create with their brand in UFC, because now you don't get to make the purse based upon what you draw in, because now it's not about necessarily all of you and what you draw in. It's the UFC and what it draws in. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the WWE is the WWE regardless of whether Stone Cold is there, John Cena is there, The Rock is there. People are tuning in to the WWE regardless of any of those guys being there. Now, when they show up, obviously the WWE gives them a nice check because of who they are and the status that they have, but the WWE goes on without those guys. That is what I guess UFC is trying to look at, because the reality is there was a time period in the UFC when you start to lose guys like Anderson Silva, you start to lose guys like Conor, you start to lose guys like Rampage, you start to lose guys like John Jones. Now you scrambling, trying to figure out, well, who builds these pay-per-views? Who can get people in the seats? Who do people want to watch? Now you can just build UFC as a brand free of all of that, and you can get to a point where you've built this fan base through those guys, the Hulk Hogans, the Rocks, the Stone Colds, the Triple H's, blah, blah, blah. Wow. You've built that fan base through those guys that we just named on the UFC side. Now you can sell the brand. Now the brand is bigger than the fighter.
Now you got this plethora of talent where in the WWE you got guys like Roman Reigns, you got like Jey Uso, you got Cody Rhodes coming back, and now in the UFC you got guys like Ilya Taporia, you got Dreykus, you've got all of these guys. Man, dude, that's a crazy connection, bro.
But regardless of if those guys leave the scene, the UFC goes on. At one point in time, if you were to lose Conor, Silva, all those guys simultaneously, it would be like there is no UFC. If you would have lost all those guys at one point simultaneously, if they all would have said, screw Dana White, boom, there is no UFC. You get what I'm saying? So now it's a little bit more built out. But we'll see. For all of you UFC fans, which I am, Conrad is, our producer, Brian is, everybody we know for the most part likes, a good UFC fight card. All I'm saying is, as a fan, I would hope that I can get everything on CBS and Paramount Plus because of this deal. If not, then we'll see how it goes. For the fighters, I hope that this means that all of you can get access to some form of baseline salaries, some form of insurance, health insurance, or whatever it is that you're looking for. But the independent agency of guys being able to leverage their own quote-unquote capital to expunge what they felt like Dana White owes them, that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, just to end it off with this, like, it's a striking comparison, like, of how similar it is when you look at, like, the deal the WWE just made with Netflix.
Yeah.
And now here comes the UFC with Paramount Plus, and, oh, wait, the WWE and UFC are partners? Like,
TKO,
it's all just becoming one storyline, but two companies.
Just really quickly, would you be mad if the UFC had storylines and created characters like the WWE?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be a fan of that, just because I like the raw, pure, like, actual hatred some of these guys have towards each other.
Yeah, you like your, he likes his gladiator sports.
Yeah,
Send me in a gladiator, guys.
Bro, they go in there and
fight for
beat
real,
the crap out of each other.
Look, I like that aspect of it too because it does bring some rawness to the whole situation. But business trumps everything, my guy.
Great conversations to end it off with, man. I love that. That was great. That was awesome.
All right, Coach. What episode is this again?
Episode 46.
46. We want to remind you guys again as we close out. So please like and subscribe to the Halftime Pod on YouTube. You can find us on all of your podcast subscriptions of choice, whether that's Apple Music, Spotify, or Amazon. We also have our Patreon. We're looking to upload some new videos us from the Bears training camp, so be on the lookout on that because we did visit that and we got some good footage from that. We'll also be coming in sometime in the latter part to discuss the Bears and what we think the expectations are going to be. Me and Coach will be fired up for that. If you guys have been following us, you know that we get a little temperamental when it comes down to talking about our beloved Bears and our Caleb Williams, but we're saving it for the beginning of the season to really showcase once the preseason is over with and we've seen a few things. We're saving that Patreon to kind of just really get at least our conversation about what we expect and why we expect those things from the Bears this season. And then we'll also talk about Kobe and the disrespect that he's been getting and why my counterpart here believes that LeBron is better than Kobe Bryant.
Who said that?
See?
Wow.
See this guy?
Allegations are crazy.
When he get put on Front Street, all of a sudden he forgets some of the things that he says. Okay. He didn't necessarily say that, but he does think – you did say you think LeBron is ranked higher than Kobe.
When we're talking about the GOAT conversation, yeah just because that's like just the general, like, we got to dive deeper into that.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But, again, this is episode 46. Coach, we want to remind them again to follow us on everything. Follow Coach at Coach KDZ, and you can follow me at Coach M_Got It. Anything else you want to leave out with, Coach?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, being on the live this week, it was great being on the live. Just felt like a regular show this time around, so that was awesome. Shout out to Brian for helping us out with that. And
big shout out to Brian. Yeah. Everything was flawless, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything was flawless.
Awesome.
I was kind of watching it as we were going. You did a absolute wonderful job.
Yes, and thank you guys so much on the TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff for the supports.
All right, as always, you know how we get up out of here. It's C-Red and bear down, baby. Yes, sir.